Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting of the Council of the Town of Bay-Westfield to order at 7:00 p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that Bay-Westfield exists on the traditional Wolastoqey land. The lands of the Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as the Wolastoq, along which live Wolastoqey, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders, past and present, and descendants of this land. So good evening, everyone. As you'll notice, I'm not Mayor Merrifield. She sends her regrets, so I'm Deputy Mayor Toole, who will be presiding over the meeting tonight. And on behalf of Mayor Merrifield, members of council, administration, and our community, I'd like to extend our thoughts to our neighbors in southeastern New Brunswick, in PEI, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland following Hurricane Fiona. While our community experienced fallen trees and some power outages, we were very, very fortunate to have avoided serious damage. But this event should serve everybody as a good reminder of the importance of being connected during emergencies. So the town would like to remind residents to please register for the emergency alert system. This is to ensure that the town can notify residents in the event of an emergency, in the event of emergency situations, or critical community alerts. To register, visit the homepage of grandbaywestfield.ca. And please also continue to visit the town site and to like our Facebook page for up-to-date information on events, meetings, and important initiatives. It's not all emergencies, there's some good stuff on there. So on a really different note, I guess, I would like to encourage everyone to visit the Veterans Peace Park, which is located at the town cenotaph. The Peace Park has recently had a couple of excellent additions, including a gate to honor veterans and the 2022 Grand Bay Westfield sculpture. The vision for the Legion for the Veterans Peace Park is to create an atmosphere of peace and reflection for the community and visitors year-round. And it really, really is beautiful. Everybody should go take a look. And on a final note, before we get into our meeting tonight, I wanted to note that New Brunswick's first Municipality Week wrapped up yesterday. On behalf of the Mayor and Council, I extend our sincere appreciation to our hardworking staff who provide key services to residents that help improve their quality of life. I'd also like to thank the approximately 100 volunteers who serve on our various agencies, boards, commissions, committees, fire rescue department, and emergency measures organization. The town recognizes the contributions volunteers make towards our vision of a welcoming place to live, grow, and thrive. Volunteers are an important part of the fabric of our community. So thanks, everyone. So next on the agenda is a record of attendance, and everybody except for our mayor is in attendance tonight, like to show. And number 5, we can move on to agenda approval. Can I have a motion to approve? Councillor Day, second?
So moved.
Councillor Buck. Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda approved. Next, disclosure of conflict of interest. And there being none, we can move on to our public hearings, presentations, and petitions. And we have 2 individuals here tonight for presentations. And I would just remind the presenters that there's a 10-minute limit to the presentations, and then we'll have time for council questions and discussion. So first, we can hear from the River Valley Community Center Foundation, the budget review, and John Weber is here to speak. And welcome, John.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of the council. I'm here to present the 2023 budget for the fiscal year from the River Valley Community Center. And I guess always perhaps the highlight to the town is the ask for town funding for 2023. I'll give you the highlights of the budget and a little documentation behind bigger numbers, but we are asking the town for $111,000, which is a $3,000 increase from 2022. We have ice rentals, $258,000. So what happened in 2022, and I think we're going to end up with a bit of a loss in 2022, is we lost about 6 weeks of adult hockey first part of 2022 due to the COVID shutdown. Minor hockey did carry on, generally speaking, because they were happy having practices, and the adults, as soon as you can't play games, they cancel on us. So we are budgeting for no interruptions for 2023. Current adult rate, which we just passed on the board, and the ice rates go from September basically through the following August, so they're off kilter with our fiscal year. But so for the September to December period of 2022, we're looking at a rate of $165 per hour for youth and adult $229 per hour. That will carry on, of course, until August 2023, when I'm budgeting for a $10 an hour increase for each of the adult and youth rates. Adult will then go to $239 an hour and youth to $175 an hour. Just to give you an idea of our sort of the scope of our usage, the youth rent, and that's minor hockey generally, 70% of our hours, and adult 30%. The other major revenue generators, room rentals, and our main tenant is Blossom's Daycare. We're just in the process of signing them on for another 5-year lease for their main space, and for their 2023, a monthly rent will be $3,300 for the 12 months per month, and then we have Urban Dance, which will be renting upstairs space on a part-time basis, but it will be $400 a month for 10 months. They don't rent during the summer. Our other programs that we run are the summer program. We have floor hockey, which is ball hockey, if you like, basketball, which is just outside there, and pickleball. So we expect those four items to generate $21,000. So all in all, $471,000 we're projecting for revenue. Our main expenses are wages, of course, is our largest. We have over the last 2 years, and also including 2023, we're trying to get our wages up to a competitive point where we can retain staff, and wages in general, as most are aware, that have gone up, but in general. But we're getting staff to where we are. Most comparable rink to us in the area is Lord Beaverbrook Rink. It's not unionized. So we will be on par with their wage levels going into 2023. Our power is our next largest expenditure, budgeting for about $140,000 in power bills. It's not a whole lot we can do with power once we have the ice in and the plant running. Our power bills run from $14,000 to $16,000 a month. In the summer, when we're ice is out, they run about $3,000 a month. We have our annual maintenance, which we don't have any major expenditures that we are, at least at this point, aware of for 2023. We have some planned work on our boards. We have some planned work on the brine system. And those are the two main items we think are we'll have in the mix for 2023. Green Mountain has been very helpful in the past in providing us grants for those major maintenance items. Never guaranteed, but they have been very good supporter in the past. And insurance, our insurance, and things run not on the calendar year, but our 2022-23 bill runs May to April, so it is about $27,000 currently, looking for about a 3% increase there for the 2023 bill. And the remainder of the expenditures are not large in amount and fairly easy to categorize. So we're budgeting for a deficit of about $4,000, and again, hoping that COVID doesn't impact us for 2023. We are hoping that we can get back on the fundraising trail for 2023, certainly for 2020, 21, 22. Fundraising has really been derailed, so if we can get something like Rock the Rink back on the go, that can generate $7,000 to $8,000 in fundraising profit. So I had no fear of a $4,000 deficit. Our replacement reserve is we've got it up to $210,000. How that sits right now is we're very conservative. We just have it in GIC, so we've got a 1 year dividend. 3 increments of $70,000 each, one at 2.5%, one at 2.6%, the 2.5 is for 1 year, 2.6 is for 2 years, and 2.7 is for 3 years. And we've not budgeted ever for asking for funds to increase our reserve. We have been able to, any interest we earn, $4,000 a year we've left in the reserve. But if we can get the fundraising going, certainly any surplus reserve, barring any other unforeseen issues, would be a good place to park any surplus funds. So, anybody has any questions, comments? Yep.
Hi, Johnny. Just for the government watching, can you explain just where the rates come from and how they compare to, you said Lord Beaverbrook was the most comparable one to us?
Yep.
What's their rate?
Lord Beaverbrook is a bit of an oddity, but they're $230 a month. They don't split into adult and youth. Their youth hockey is what I call it, schoolboy hockey. And Lord Beaverbrook, when he donated the money for that facility back in 1960, the deal was school children would not pay for the usage. So they do a deal where if you're minor hockey, representing a school like River Valley team, but if you're St. John minor hockey, you pay $230. If you're an adult league, you pay $230. But they're a bit of an...
Yeah, so what was the other rate, the city-owned rates?
Yep, the city-owned rinks, the quote rates in ranges, but the youth, the high end is $176 an hour, as far as I can gather, for this 22, 23 year. So we're $10 an hour, $11 an hour cheaper, projecting to increase to $175 by next September. I'm not sure what the city's going to do. They froze the rates for this 22, 23 year. The adult rates are $263, so they are higher than our adult rates.
Why do we have 2 different adult rates?
Like the 229 and 239 story, or because the hockey rates get set in September, so they go September to August, and our budget year goes on the calendar year. So in a fiscal year, we're dealing with 2 different rates.
Oh, okay.
Same to you.
So are the adult rates comparable to the city?
Our adult rates are cheaper than the city. And up until 2020, we went right from Blacks Harbor to Hampton, checking rates. We were sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower. In 2020, the city did a monstrous increase in their rates. They went through their examination of their recreation and decided that they needed to increase their hourly rates by, I think it was roughly $50 to $60 an hour. We made a business decision that felt that was not a good idea. We increased ours by $20 an hour. We have narrowed the gap. So our youth rates, which represent 10% of our hours, should be handy to the youth rates of the city by 2023, but we will be a little less than the adult rates. Bit of a business decision, I guess, in part because we don't have available ice. We rent our ice. I'm not sure what the marketing would be if we were $20 more than the per hour per city, whether, some folks would say, okay, well, I'm gonna rent
I
elsewhere.
don't have a problem with being comparable to the city.
Yep.
I don't want to be more than the city, but I don't like us being less than the city, and then our rates are actually being subsidized. And I mean, how can I put it? We put money into the rink and we've never had an issue with it, but we think that, or I feel, the rate should be comparable to the city. And that's, if you can reach that in 2023, I'll be happy. But it's something that we need to address.
I understand.
Questions?
I just have one more, John. Do you know if The Rock is coming back this year and if that's a form of
Yes.
revenue?
Built into the ice rental revenue. What's not built in is it's a little bit in the state of flux as to what the Rock are going to do with their games, but we do have the ability to have a bar set up. We participate and help out. We get some of the proceeds of that. I haven't built that in because I'm just not sure what that's going to be, but I have to say that the Rock, through their fundraising, through that league's fundraising capabilities, and particularly their Chase the Ace program, they have provided us with about $10,000 to install and it's a sort of their desire. They suggested it. We didn't go asking, but to install a sound system. And it has not functioned yet, but it's close, but it's got to be state of the art because it's 6 speakers in the lobby, 3 speakers on the ice. There's speakers elsewhere, but there's been a lot of wiring and speaker putting in, primarily for their games, but it's certainly useful to us, and we've helped a little bit. We've had some electrical labor that we've rounded up for free, but they've supplied us with a good portion of the funding for that. Also, they have revamped one of the dressing rooms, improved the shower facilities, and painted it their colors at their cost, only to be used by them. They're not claiming it for any other time other than when their games are. So again, that might have cost them $5,000, all at their nickel, not ours. So certainly it's a benefit to have them they get well supported.
One quick question, you mentioned fundraising. Do you have a fundraising goal you've put in?
Well, yeah, it's like I'm asking people to read my mind, but I'm budgeting for $4,000 deficit, and my very last line is that the deficit is the operational fundraising target. I think in absence of effects of COVID, we would be able to easily raise more than $4,000. So we started planning the rock the rink, and we were doing well with that until we were derailed in 2020 with COVID, but that was one that raised us around $8,000 for 3 years in a row. We had that running really well, so if we can get that back on and people aren't afraid to come out, then I think that certainly $4,000 is not unreasonable. That's just one event that talking about, but there's others that we've got Amanda Ham, who's a fundraising machine, so hopefully, anyway, that's kind of the goal, is at least 4,000.
I won't keep it, I've been here for a bit, so I won't keep it too much longer. I just have a quick question, because I know we've heard a lot here about your strategic plan for the upcoming year. If you can give everybody kind of an update on where that is.
Okay, yep, the short story is we had a bit of a misfire on that strategic plan at our annual meeting in June. RC Strategies presented a plan. We thought that the steering committee was going to re-engage with RC Strategies, and I think RC Strategies believe that that was it. So the steering committee has got what I think would be the final copy. I checked with Tanya, Oliver, our president, today, just to make sure I was correct in my speak here tonight, but we anticipate we'll have the report to the board to be voted on at our October meeting, which will be around the 20th of October. I've seen the report in form that I don't think is going to change, and we have some homework to do, but yeah, at this point, we have not, it's not been aggressive. Yes.
Anyway,
Sorry.
thank you, John, we really appreciate it.
Okay.
If there's no further questions, the motion on the table is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield refer this information to budget discussions. Any sector? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you.
On to our next presenter, we have Tanya Walsh, who's here with us tonight. She's here to speak to us on fetal alcohol spectrum disorder awareness. Welcome, Tanya.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. To think I was so nervous, and you guys are just regular folks. I knew that as a compliment, of course. If you knew how nervous I was, you would know why I needed the icebreaker. So my name is Tanya Walsh, and not only am I the St. John Regional Coordinator for the NB Fasd Center of Excellence, I'm also a mom of an amazing 12-year-old boy who has diagnosis of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So September the 9th is recognized globally, internationally, all over the world of Fsc Awareness Day. On that day, it is one day of the year that those in the community of working with individuals with FSD and us as caregivers and families get to spread awareness, to bring light to this invisible disability. So we deck out in our red shoes and or our red shirts. So I took total advantage of doing this presentation to you in September and decking out in red. I normally would have come a little bit better dressed, just FYI. So this is our opportunity to stomp out the stigma that surrounds this invisible disability of FASD. I'm not so nervous. You guys are a tough bunch. Normally I'm easier than this. So before we get started, just by a show of hands, anybody here know of somebody with autism? You just raise your hand. So pretty well all of us know of somebody with autism. If so, then you know somebody with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, because FASD is 2.5 times more common than autism. Now, once I figure out how to do my notes and the slideshow, we'll be all set. So my objective tonight is to provide you with the most up-to-date information about FASD, to provide you with a new or fresh understanding of those living with FASD and supporting those who are raising individuals with FASD. What FASD looks like in our small province of New Brunswick and in your town of Grand Bay-Westfield. More than 250 babies are born each year in the province of New Brunswick. This stat is pre-COVID. Students from K to 12, at least 4,000 students would have a diagnosis of fetal alcohol in the province. More than 31,000 people would have an FASD diagnosis in NB. This is based on 4% prevalence in the province. It is the leading developmental disability in the Western world. And in your community of Grand Bay-Westfield, you would have approximately 200 people with a diagnosis of FASD. So what is it? FASD, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, is a diagnostic term used to describe the impact of the brain and the body of individuals prenatally exposed to alcohol. FASD is a complex medical diagnosis and a lifelong disability. Individuals living with FASD will experience some degrees of challenges with their daily living and will need ongoing support throughout their life to reach their full potential. However, each individual living with FASD is unique and has areas of both strengths and challenges. Folks, this could happen to any one of us. With 61% of our pregnancies being unplanned, as we will learn in the following slides, drinking being on the rise, FASD can affect any one of us. After all, you're not pregnant until you're pregnant, till you take that test and it turns positive. Generally, a woman can take this test 4 to 6 weeks along, but generally it's later than that. And damage can already be done. So we're not pregnant until we're pregnant. As I mentioned earlier in my introduction, I'm a mother of a child with FASD, and he was gifted to my late husband and I through adoption. But before we adopted, we went down the road of fertility. And if you're going to a fertility clinic or that road, then you are probably going to be having your share of alcoholic beverages. And never once did my doctor through that fertility clinic say, Tanya, refrain from drinking alcohol. He said, are you taking your folic acid? Are you taking your multivitamin? Are you making your doctor's appointments, your temperature charts, etc.? But never did he say you should refrain from drinking alcohol. So I'm raising a child with FASD, but I could have easily had a biological child with FASD as well, because we don't know what we don't know. So there's no blame, no shame, and we really want to try hard to stomp out the stigma that surrounds this invisible disability, and that is why I'm here this evening. Drinking alcohol can have several adverse effects. Alcohol consumption contributes to more than 200 different types of health conditions. There is no safe type, no amount, or frequency of alcohol that is safe to consume at all during any point of pregnancy. In this slide, we see drinking is on a rise, 17% through the COVID outbreak. And household conflicts are up 18%. In the next slide, this one, we see that the increase is 32% in the childbearing ages of 18 to 39. This brings great concern for us, especially if we remember that 61% of our pregnancies are not planned. In the age category of 40 to 59, it's increased 16%. We've also now lived in a society, in a world where we advertise drinking. You openly talk about it. It is socially accepted to go home and have that glass of wine. And our glasses, our average drink would be from the 5-ounce glass of wine to an easy 9-ounce. Restaurants don't even offer you that 6-ounce glass anymore. They go right to the 9-ounce, which is actually, we think of it as one glass, but it's actually 2 drinks in one. So next, FASD is the most complex disability you will learn about, and it is impossible to stand in front of you in 10 minutes and put that out forward to you for you to have a full concept of it. However, I am going to respect the time, the restraint, and your time and your presence and close that chapter. But I would like to take another minute just to talk about the NB FASD Center of Excellence and who we are and what we do. However, my hope is that I did bring forward enough information to help you see through and understand this invisible disability. So who are we? We are the NB FASD Center of Excellence. We are the only diagnostic clinic east of Ontario. We are a bilingual program. We diagnose 24 clinics a year with 250 babies approximately born each year. And that is pre-COVID numbers, folks, remember. So we're up above that. We offer education, training, individualized training, building capacity. There is regional coordinators such as myself all through the province and an Aboriginal liaison. Due to the complexity of FASD, a multidisciplinary team is essential for accurate and complete diagnosis and to provide appropriate recommendations. We work in interdepartmental partnership with health, mental health and addictions, education, social development, justice, public safety, and Aboriginal affairs. Do the best you can until we know better. Now we know better. When you know better, you do better. And that is my hope today, is that we can do better. This is my son, Ben, that I mentioned earlier in the presentation, my snappy redhead 12-year-old boy. And FASD is real in our communities, in our families, in our schools. And so is our children. Every child living with FASD has a unique set of strengths and interests. They want to be seen. Understanding their strengths and uniqueness will allow them to be productive, to have a meaningful life and purposefulness, and allows them to live with joy, love, and acceptance. And isn't that what we're all looking for? Aren't we all looking for love, joy, and to be accepted within our group, within our peers? So in this slide, it's not the best. It looks like we worked really hard, which we did. And this picture was just taken September the 9th at our Fsc Awareness walk in St. John that we hosted. It was our second annual walk. We had our first one last September the 9th. We had about 20 people in attendance. This year we had over 90. Over 90 people in attendance that started at the Market Square Lighthouse and walked Harbour Passage wearing their red shoes, their red shirts or red jackets with all these red balloons showing awareness. And the joy on the kids' faces, if you could have seen it. And if I had more time, I would have showed you a ton of pictures. But it was priceless, because for the first time in a long time, they were able to gather and be who they are, with no judgment, no shame, and no over-explanation. So if I can leave you with anything to reflect on from my presentation this evening, is how can your community going forward support your families? How you as a council going forward support those that are caring for your individuals, caring for the families, and how can you support your professionals who are helping those with FASD? How will this community come together to make a difference? Thank you for your time. Whew.
Have any questions or comments?
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Tammy, that was very educational. I'm just wondering what the, some of the signs and symptoms may be of a child with FASD? I'm sure
It's a whole laundry list.
Yeah.
Yeah, however, you would look for, depending on the age, like with babies, it would be a small head, the brain structure is different, they would, sleep patterns, they would be impulsive possibly, disruptive behaviors, that's gonna be like your first kind of clue. Yeah, like that would be in your primary characteristics. Many times they go undiagnosed and kind of under the radar until grade 2 or 3, right? People kind of get hung up on, we call it an invisible disability because we get hung up that it's disability, we should see something. But less than 10% of our children will actually have the facial features, right? So yeah, does that answer your question? Okay.
This is my first time, after working for a long time in healthcare, to hear anything about this. I remember Nutrition Today, and articles that came out on that, but this is the first time. So hats off to you and your organization to bring it forward.
Thank you very much.
Because people don't realize the impact of alcohol, and you're right. You're not pregnant till you know you are.
Right.
And in the meantime, damage is done.
And unfortunately, there's so much stigma around it, right? So those that are living, I remember going through the process of his diagnosis. And I was like, oh my God, just give him anything else but.
Yeah.
Because how am I never wanted to label him.
No.
Right? So I never wanted to say he's adopted and him have that label. And then now I have the label of his disability. How am I going to explain that?
Yeah.
Right? So there's still so much work to do, but we have come so far.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So FSC, I mean, St. John, I shared with you there, but Fredericton, they lit up their city hall red. The legislative centers was lit up red. Niagara Falls was lit up red. There was 4 places out west was lit up red. Communities all across the province did something. It was, New Brunswick was on the map and lit up red. So we've come a long way, but we have so far to go.
Oh, yes. But hats off to you.
Thank you very much.
When do you find out with the start, how would you stop, you used to get pregnant, right? So when do you find out you're pregnant, you stop freaking right away, would that help anything? Or
Well, it's always a help, but I mean, damage can already be done, right? So it's not a preventable disability, right? So the only way it could possibly be prevented 100% is if the pregnancy is planned, which generally it's not, and you stop consuming alcohol, right? So the minute, if you're able to, the minute that you know, it would be best to stop. But when do you know? Some women don't even find out till they're 8 months pregnant, and damage can be done, right? So you're not pregnant till you're pregnant, kind of thing. Does that answer?
it's always,
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Have a good evening.
I just want to let you know, to give an extra thank you, because you reached out to us, and I just want to it's wonderful when we have people from the community with a message to reach out to us, and I just wanted to highlight for everybody who's watching that you did contact us to request this opportunity, and we are very, very pleased you did. So,
Thank you. Have a great evening, guys.
You too.
So I think the motion is that the council of Town of Bay-Westfield receive and file information as presented.
So moved.
All in favor? So, we can move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. That's the minutes of the regular council meeting of September 12th, 2022. And the motion is that the council of the Town of Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of September 12th, 2022 as presented. Councilor Day, second by Councilor Jones. All in favor? Opposed? Pass. So, no unfinished business 9, no bylaws under 10. So I guess we can move on to number 11 on the agenda, which is new business and recommendations. So we'll start with 11A, so I'm just going to move my agenda there, so I have it in front of me before So agenda A is the Pro Kids fundraising dinner. Let's do the motion before we discuss. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize staff to purchase tickets for members of council who wish to attend the Pro Kids fundraising dinner. Motion. So the discussion. And John, can you provide us with some information on this?
I was thinking maybe Councilor Bellman's could, it's for pro kids.
Excellent.
This is a fundraiser for, well, we get together and have an auction and all the stuff there at the event, so. Just
When is it, John?
Huh?
When is it?
I don't know, in October something.
November 17th, sorry, November 17th at the Delta Brunswick, starts at 6 o'clock. That's when the reception does, dinner's served at 7, and tickets are $125. And we've been able to identify that there's funding available for those members of council who want to go.
So if you're available, we can let you know.
Yeah, if you could let Amanda know, that would be fantastic.
Or you buy, you get the whole table, so you buy a table too, right? It's also,
Yeah.
so if you can do that way.
So we'll get that information pretty soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, so we can move on to 11B, which is the Canada Community Building Fund CCFB application revision. So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the town of Grand Bay-Westfield 5-year capital investment plan for the GTF administrative agreement 2019 to 2023 be adopted as presented.
So moved.
Councilor Day, second? Councilor Bellman? So, any questions? This one, John, do you want to give a bit of a?
Yeah, sure. So last year we kind of got this plan at the last minute. We just sort of slotted in our streets that we normally do. However, this year, we prefer for this to be used on a solar array, and so it's adjusted for that. There is leeway that we can adjust projects on a yearly basis. We've already gone through Fredericton, and this won't be a problem.
And that's for this year's.
Yes,
solar.
this year's capital.
Anybody have any questions? Can I speak up?
Yes.
I have to speak up a little louder.
Use your mom voice.
So no questions on that, so I can have a vote on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. So I don't need an opposed question. Okay, thanks, everyone, it's passed. So we can move on to 11C, it's the janitorial services. And the motion on 11C is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the renewal of the janitorial contract with First Class Cleaners for janitorial services for the amount of $50,625.03 plus $7,593.75 HST to equals $58,218.78 annually for another 2-year period starting January 2023 to December 2024. Have a motion? Moved. So second?
Second.
So any questions on this item? I've heard this is a good news story for this renewal.
Yeah, no, we're pleased with the service they deliver, and it's a very reasonable price.
So no questions or comments, is all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, so let's move past. We're moving right along, so I guess D is, this one is the UMNB 2022 AGM new resolutions. And the motion here is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield support the UMNB 2022 AGM, annual general meeting, new resolutions as presented. So I'll do a quick note here, I'm just going to pull it up. These were resolutions passed by councils from across the province to bring to the AGM for the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. The first 2 motions are 2 that we as a council brought forward from Grand Bay. The other 3 are from 3 other jurisdictions. So just excuse me searching for a minute. was not gonna start with, I assume the ones on our end are good, so I don't know if anybody had discussion on the other three.
Do you want me to do three?
Yeah, I'm just fine.
So the third resolution that we brought before the membership is consolidating 911 so that it's a single provider doing intake for both the ambulance, fire dispatch, and prevention mobile control center. Generally, it improves the functionality of emergency responses. The fourth resolution before the membership is the financial costs of municipal reform that the province may call municipalities. The fifth resolution is that, I forgot the exact wording, my apologies, but is that communities also be made whole, but this is because there's tax increase limits with amalgamation, and it's for those shortfalls due to those limits on tax increases. And so what that means is maybe municipalities' taxes should actually, or one part of the municipality's taxes should go up 9 cents, but the province is restricting those increases to 5 cents. So they're suggesting that the 4 cents of that tax rate be made whole. Number 6, municipal reform awareness. I have to confess, Deputy Mayor, awareness, this one kind of evaded me a little bit. The government of New Brunswick, and specifically local government reform, began a fulsome and sustained educating awareness campaign. This is an ongoing concern that we have had throughout the region, throughout the province. Minister Elaine was sitting just over behind where the speaker's stand is, and said there will be full and vigorous communication. I would be hard pressed to identify full and vigorous in this context. So I think this is an excellent resolution. And then the last one is ambulance availability, and that they want the province to consult with healthcare and ambulance services to reduce wait times. Council would just like to indicate that the fire chief is confident in the response times that we have in our particular area. He suggests that upwards of 90% of the time, there is no undue delay in the ambulance service responding to an incident. And this just goes to tell you how quick our volunteers are in responding to the scene of an incident. But even though that's not our issue, it doesn't mean that this isn't important that we all sort. And in review of this, if you don't mind, Deputy Mayor, it would be difficult to vote against many of these, all of these resolutions, frankly. So that's why the wording was suggested to the Deputy Mayor.
And just as a reminder, the first two, the ones that Bay-Westfield brought forward are, the first one is in relation to advocacy resources for the municipalities of New Brunswick, and the second one was in relation to strengthening communities that we discussed here. So I agree with the CAO. They're ones we brought forward, but the other ones seem to they impact all of us across the province, and they have a theme of local governance reform, which is top of mind for everybody. Are there any questions on any of the resolutions?
Do you need a motion to adopt them or encourage?
Yeah, the motion was that the council support the resolutions as presented. So we figured we'd do them as a package unless you wanted to pull one out.
Just one question, Deputy Mayor, for the benefit of those watching from home. When is the AGM that these would be presented at?
I believe it's October 7th and 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
The weekend of Thanksgiving weekend?
So Thanksgiving weekend, everybody here, including me, will, except for her, will be in Fredericton attending this workshop.
And I've only missed 2 out of 22 years, so that's okay. Have fun.
Okay.
So on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone, on that one. The next one is 11E, Commercial Building Retrofit Program. And the motion here is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield receive and file the feasibility study as prepared by the Smart Energy Company and submitted to NB Power as part of our application to the commercial building retrofit program. And I can ask
Motion to adopt.
And I can ask John to speak to this one as well. It's kind of a case of spending a little to get some.
Yeah, so I'll just do a brief overview, and if there's any details that need to be mentioned, I'll turn it over to the development officer. Or if you have more technical questions, I'll turn it over to him. So just briefly, I think it was the last meeting or the meeting before council allocated an extra approximately $1,500 to do a study. That study is completed, which enables us to be eligible for a grant of almost $18,000 and also a $1,100 refund for the study. And all this goes towards the solar array, thus reducing our costs. So we're going to be saving an estimated 296 gigajoules of energy, and can't quite lay my eyes on how many tons of greenhouse gases reducing. But anyway, so this is to enable us to receive almost 18,000 grants. They just changed the scope of the grant so that we qualify. I think it was back in August, but I'm not sure. So all in all, this is a win-win for us both financially and in the reduction of greenhouse gases for the environment. Sorry, David, did I leave anything out there?
Comments or questions?
I'd like to make a comment on this. This kind of thing makes me very happy, and after seeing the solar panels fields driving through various states, this is a real positive move for our community. And the impact that they've given us on that this could make, 6,273,234.6 kilometers. This is what this reduces. And the other one that I really like was the hectares of forest preserved for 1 year, 19,077.3. So if you're looking at our forests, that's 1 year, 19 hectares. So don't ask me what a hectare is in size or anything, but I know that we live on half an acre. So it's huge savings, and so compliment to the staff and for our team for moving this project forward.
Thank you, Nancy. So, all in favor on the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carried. Thanks, we'll finish new business with another good news one, I believe. So move on to 11F, which is a Fall Fest road closure. And the motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield approve the request for a road closure of Colonel Nace Boulevard between River Valley Drive and Highland Road between the hours of 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. for the Colonel Nace Boulevard Downhill Mile Run, with confirmation and approvals of notifications to the RCMP, Ambulance New Brunswick, and the Fire Rescue Department to ensure continuity of emergency services. Have a motion?
I'll second.
And this is in relation to our Fall Fest, so I can ask Stephanie, Councilor McIntosh-Lawrence to speak to this one.
Do you want us to do the Fall Fest?
Generally, start with this one, and then you can move on to the broader Fall Fest.
Okay, so so this little run is being put on by Alex Kaufman. It's gonna happen Saturday morning, starting at 8 o'clock. So I think he's gonna do a walk up from Nace and then a run down. And I'm not sure there will be prizes, I'm not sure what categories yet, but Rick actually may be able to speak to that better. But then for the rest of Fall Fest, I'll just highlight that in my council report maybe. Anything else on the run?
It is Sunday morning. Just
Oh,
clear,
sorry,
not
Sunday morning,
Saturday.
yes, sorry, yes.
Since that's our first public
Sorry.
announcement.
Yeah, and I got it wrong.
No, I think Mr. Kaufman does a very good job organizing these events, so it's meant to be a family-friendly event and affordable to walk up the walk up kernel days and learn a little bit about what running is and what competitive running is, and then the race itself will take place going downhill, which some say is easy, some say is difficult, so we'll wait and see.
Sorry, you said Sunday, what specific Sunday?
October 16th.
October 16th. Okay.
So Fall Fest runs from October 13th to October 16th.
So it's October 16th, actually, I don't think the date is in the motion, so maybe I would add that date into the motion would be.
Yeah, the date should be in the motion, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Good catch. Any other comments or questions about the Fall Fest road closure? No? So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so motion carried, thanks everyone. So that ends our new business, and I guess we are moving right along to item 12 on the agenda, which is bills for payment. And the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the September 26, 2022 bills for payment as presented in the amount of $297,207.49. Have a motion? Second? Any questions on the motion? No questions.
I'm surprised, Stephanie.
I
Alright, so if there's no questions, I can ask for a vote on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, motion carried. That was a quick one, so I'll move on to the consent agenda, which is item 13. So the consent agenda is that the council, actually I'll read the consent agenda first before closing. Items in the consent agenda are the solar feasibility study, invitation from future doctors of New Brunswick, Sunny Side Up sponsorship packages, PAC minutes from the July 4th meeting, these are all local government reform items, which is a list of new CAOs, new RSC CEOs, a local government reform update, and new municipal structures. And so those can be found on the GNB website as well, I believe. So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the consent agenda items for September 26, 2022.
So-
Motion, so moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, so now the heat's off me, so it's council reports at this time. So I will go, I guess, to my left, so Councillor Cronholm.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Not very much to report on since last council session, but thank you in your remarks at the very beginning for highlighting the new structure that was in the Veterans Peace Park that was erected yesterday. It changes the landscape there from a distance, and for the better. The gentleman, Mr. Gary Crosby from the Oromocto area who did the carving, was there all day long and with some help from Corey and some other people. And I was there for a little bit, and the stories that Mr. Crosby mentioned, he's ex-military himself, 35 years in the service, in many theaters of combat, and I know what the price was that he charged the committee, and I can honestly tell you that he's doing this for a much different reason than his craftsmanship in the business that he has. And he mentioned to Corey Ryan, who's the first vice president of the region, that this November 11th, he and his wife will come down to our November 11th ceremony. So that's very, very nice. So I encourage everybody who hasn't seen it up close to take a walk over, and the carving that he did is just spectacular, and that's just one more jewel and a few more things that will be added to that park. Thank you.
Thank you to you and to Corey Ryan and everybody on that committee. I did go by today, it's breathtaking, actually,
Yes, it's very nice. And it was very nice when we came home. Michael commented right away about the flagpoles and how it was looking. And then today when we came down Highland, he said, you know, that's the only sculpture I get. And I love it. So it's really turned out, and I was so surprised when I read the comments that it was the last things to be done. And I thought, wow, they've come a long way in a short time. Because it seemed like it was going to be so long, and it wasn't. So congratulations, and especially to Corey and you and the rest of the team.
Thank you.
Oh, the banners are going up soon too. I got told that by Corey.
Actually, I have a few questions on that, so that's good. I forgot the banners.
Yeah.
Oh,
Councillor
a
Bill?
pretty quiet months also, but we did a few phone calls with people, complaints and stuff, and we went to an event Saturday night for the Sunrise Bay Park, and
Yes.
so it was a good fundraiser. It was pretty fun with all you guys. See how bad you were, and it was great. So,
That was a blast.
It was a blast.
Councillor Jones was talking, there was a fundraiser at the Bolorama for the Sunrise Play Park at the Church of the Resurrection, and your Grand Bay Council put in a team, and we were quite bad bowlers, but we had a lot of fun.
We weren't the worst.
We weren't the worst, that's
So
right.
my better half won the prize.
Yes, she did. She was the best.
She kind of schooled us.
Yeah, she beat us up on it and all that.
Councillor Day?
I'm going to promote the book club. We had our first meeting at Brandage Point, which was really nice because it wasn't on Zoom. We actually got to talk to one another. And it was really, really good. And so if you're out there and you're looking for something to do and have a really nice conversation, consider the book club. Our next meeting is October the 12th from 10 to 11 at Brundage Point River Center. And we are going to have a New Brunswick author, which we've been trying to do every year, have someone come and talk to us about their book, and we read their book before we meet. And this year it's going to be Susan White. And Susan White wrote the book, The Memory Chair. And from what I understand from all the ladies is that her book is available at the library. And it's about a young woman sitting down in a chair, and I don't know if she falls asleep or what, but she goes back in time to her grandmother's era. And I think that is fascinating. I haven't had a chance to start reading it yet, but I plan to. So that's Brundage Point, October the 12th, 10 to 11, and it's open to anyone in our community to come and chit-chat with our ladies. I'm going to talk about the trouble I'm going to get into over Fall Fest. We're going to have an apple pie contest on October the 15th. The information is going to be coming out. So if you think you make the best apple pie, if your family tells you that at every event they've got to have your apple pie, we need to have you submit your apple pie into the apple pie contest. And so pay attention. There will be news coming out about this. We're doing it on October the 15th, late in the afternoon at Brundage Point. The next thing is, do you make pickles? Do you go and buy them because you don't know what to do to make them? We're going to have a pickle making demo at Church of the Resurrection on October the 15th. And we're going to provide you with a demo on how to make Lady Ashburns. We're even going to try some. And we're also going to provide you with a lot of different recipes that come from the St. John region. One of them is my grandmother Day's mustard pickles. We're going to give you other recipes such as zucchini relish. I'm not going to say any more because I don't want to give all the good stuff away. But we're having pickle making on October 15th. Please come. If you've always wanted to learn how to make them, we've got some people there that can walk you through the processes on how to make pickles. It's not as complicated or hard as some people think. And on Sunday, if you like quilts, you want to learn about a little bit of quilting, I knew I was going to talk about that tonight. We're gonna have a quilt display, and there's going to be different quilters there with quilts up for raffle, doing demonstrations, doing sewing, and that will be on the afternoon of October 16th down at Brundage Point. Now for some hard news. My health is not where we thought it would be by this time following the cancer treatment and surgery. And I'm going to be going under some more tests, and I've seen the docs, and I'm gonna have to reduce some of my activities because they don't really know what's going on. So at this point in time, I'm publicly resigning from the capacity pillar, the climate pillar, and the vitality pillar, but I'm helping you for October. I'm not leaving that go. And with what makes me feel okay about some of this is the fact that we have a new person coming on council in January. So this would be a very good chance for, I'm gonna say a young person, but somebody who may have the potential of running in the future for them to really understand council activities. So I'm staying with the book club and I'm staying with Age Friendly. But other than that, I'm gonna be really reducing my activities for a while, till they sort it all out.
Thank you,
So,
Councillor.
one day forward, and I'm still losing weight, I think that's the best part of it all. I've never been so skinny.
Well, you know, we are all here to help you, and
Absolutely.
appreciated every piece that you've contributed to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not one for never saying never, and I'm not one for ever giving up. But this is a realization I've had to come up with. And I can tell you, for the German heritage in me, this is a really hard thing to accept, that you can't do what you've always done. So,
You're here for us to seek your wisdom.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
okay.
Councillor McIntosh.
I always make it hard for you, don't
I
I?
know, again, how do I follow that?
Talk about all the other things with Fall Fest, because that's exciting.
So, first of all, I had the honor of attending the Westfield School last week for their grand opening of their new playground. So that's a really cool place. So if you have young kids or old kids, or it's a really great place. And kudos to everyone involved. They've been working on this for 7 years. A lot of hard work into that, a lot of fundraising, a lot of grant writing, and so congratulations to everyone involved there. And the other thing that we've been working on, of course, is Fall Fest. And in addition to what Councillor Day mentioned, there's going to be something for everyone. I won't go over every single thing, but there's going to be a paint night. We've talked about the run. There's going to be different contests for kids and older kids. We're going to have live music. We're going to have bonfires. We'll be highlighting some local businesses that have requested to be involved, and so everything will be online sometime soon. And there will be one more market day, actually, on I think that the market ends sometime soon, but we're gonna have, this week is the last market, but we're gonna have another pop-up market the week of Fall Fest, so it'll be October 13th. We're gonna have astronomy night, yeah, so that's about it.
I think this is fantastic. It's a great thing to start off with, and I think people need to get out and see what this community is all about. Next year, we'll do some of the decorating like they do down in the States for the fall, and have contests to build on our success.
Thank you, everybody. So I don't have too much more. I just, on my end, it's been, everybody was involved. We did budget meetings from council. A lot of us were involved in different local governance reform meetings going on recently with the transition committee for Entity 51 and other UMN committees, and I also got the fun side of things too, which was the play park fundraiser and the playground grand opening, so it's been the highlights, I guess, of my few weeks. Anyway, so that's about it I have on my end. I do want to swing back to my remarks at the beginning before I end, just as all the stuff you've heard here, a lot of it is also on our website, and please, if you're watching, please follow our website, take a look, follow us on Facebook. There's a lot of good information on there and amazing things coming up in Fall Fest that we don't want anybody to miss out on. So just a plug for that, to please follow the website and Facebook to inform. So I think that's all I have. So again, next is business arising from committee of the whole. And there being none, we can move on to 16, adjournment. And so the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 8:10 p.m. Motion.
So moved. John, you're supposed to.
Second.
Second. Thanks, everyone.